This is a challenging budget because meeting needs and keeping track of tax dollars, they just don't match up. And so we will try to do some good things for the agency, but we're not going to, in my opinion, be able to do everything that they would like. I'm going to start with something that the final presenter, Mr. Bravi, I believe is how you pronounce his name, close enough, had said was the number one priority for him. The agency had also indicated that they would like to see us make a change. That is increasing the Public Defender 1 starting salary from $62,500 to $80,000. Now, if we do this, we would also need to make the agency aware or give them the authority to make certain that Public Defender 2 salaries are not too close to the Public Defender 1s, because some of our Public Defender 2s have been around a while. PD 1s are a lot of times fairly new. I had asked staff, it looks like, and this was a quick answer, meaning that she didn't have time to really dig in to make certain it was 100%, but it looks like the last PD1 increase was probably about 7 years ago. The dollar amount, again, because I just asked, what I mean by just ask is just a few minutes before noon, what would the dollar amount be? We can get an exact dollar amount, but if we were to increase the PD1 salaries, and I'm jumping into fiscal year 2027, this would not be fiscal year 2026, because by the time we get the budget passed, the agency would only have 2 or 3 months to implement salary increases. But they would certainly have plenty of time to gear up for fiscal year 2027. So I'm going to make the recommendation, and I know that I'm going to be criticized by some members on the Ways and Means Committee for adding money, but that's just my style. I kind of like to tax and spend. Just kidding. But in any event, to increase the starting salary for PD1 from the current level of $62,500 to $80,000, it's amazing to me that anyone who has a law degree working in the judicial system would work for that salary, which we appreciate our PD1s doing that, but to show appreciation, and there are about 45, and this is approximately about 45 PD1 positions, and there are about 40 PD2 positions, so they would need some of those positions, maybe all would also need a salary bump. So the number I was given was around $1.1 million, and we could write our committee recommendation to where we could fill in that blank, the exact number, prior to reporting to the full Ways and Means, which I think is Wednesday. Is that correct, Ms. Pratt? Okay. On Wednesday, so we would then get the exact dollar amount. So I'm going to make that recommendation, but it will be, again, a committee recommendation if the committee agrees. If the committee does not agree, that's understandable. That's fine as well. Questions on the recommendation or comments? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I totally agree with your thought process. I know that the upper level, so we're taking care of the entry level. The upper level won't have any changes, and I appreciate them because I think they understand the importance of trying to get level 1 taken care of from the conversations I've had. So I would say I like what you're doing. Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Senator Clem?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I made a comment in a meeting previously about the disparity of pay and getting caught up to where we can actually spend some energy and recruit good talent into the space. Not that we don't have good talent, but we can fill the roles. And it does require a fair and balanced salary to be able to compete. So I am supporting your decision.
Senator Petty?
I agree. I appreciate that we're we're putting in 1.1, but looking at if that actually meets the recommendations you made. So I appreciate that we're going to be a little flexible there.
And you can write the report to where the dollar amount, or would we, committee, be willing to give leeway or authority to our staff to put in the dollar amount, knowing that it should be around $1.1, $1.2 million? Are you comfortable with that, or do you want to put in a dollar amount? Pardon me, Senator Clamp?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe we have a not to exceed at 1.3 million and give leniency to the staff.
I'd like that, where we've not to exceed 1.3, but if it comes in lower, we're all going to be probably okay with that. Senator Petty?
I would say that I know in the material that was provided to us from the agency that they provided a figure of 1.7, and that was to bring starting salary for Public Defender 1 positions to 80,000 and raise Public Defender 2 positions to avoid salary compression. And I think that was a piece of your recommendation. So I would not be comfortable with us locking ourselves in at 1.3 when we have this information from the agency.
So, Senator Petty, you are on the slide presentation, what I'm going to call it, from the agency, and it doesn't have a page number, but it's way into the presentation.
That's correct.
Gentlemen, if you can find it, I do find it.
It's enhancement number 3.
So it is 1.7. I appreciate, Senator Petty, you pointing that out. Possibly our staff has an answer for us. Ms. Pratt?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The agency stated that the $1.1 million is, in the agency's words, the bare minimum that would allow the public defenders, PD1s, to reach the $80,000. The $1.7 million, that in the testimony, that would account for the current PD1s that did start at a salary a bit more than $62,000 based on their experience to also achieve similar increases as the public defender ones who started at the 62.5. And my understanding is that certain public defender ones will start at a bit more than 62,500 if they have experience or if they're out in non-urban areas.
So not all PD1s start at the 62.5, but that is the minimum currently. And so this would bump the minimum to 80, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is some PD1s would be bumped accordingly higher. So they would not be at 80, they would be more because of previous experience.
Mr. Chairman, that is my understanding.
Okay. So that is $600,000 more than the chair was planning to spend. And we could, committee, put in 1.1, 1.2, or say a maximum of 1.2 and 1.3, but not necessarily, or maybe we just drop it down to 75,000 for starting salary, which is still a nice bump in salary, but not to the 80 they had requested. Senator Klemp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In our, the statement that was just made, there was not a comment about the public two positions. Were those addressed in this 1.7 or the bare minimum of 1.1 or 1.2? Was there any increases for the Defender 2 positions? And I'll direct that to staff, if that's acceptable.
Ms. Pratt, do you know the answer?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, my understanding is that with either amount, the 1.1 or the 1.7, there would be small increases for the PD2s in order to avoid compression.
Thank you. Knowing that, I would still feel comfortable staying at the 1.2 not to exceed 1.3.
And Senator Klemp, are you throwing out suggesting, not suggesting, or just leaving it to the chair or the recommendation that rather than it be 80, it'd be 75?
I was not. I was leaving it at 80 as the, per the recommendation of the department, but I was not looking to make those substantial increases for those that started for more than that, at more than that.
Well, again, it's the desire of the chair to increase our PD1 and make certain PD2 is increased accordingly, but thinking that it was, again, in round numbers, $600,000 less makes a difference to the chair. Senator Fagg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a PD3? When we talk 1 and 2, how many levels do we have?
Ms. Pratt, do you know?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, I can get that information for you. I think it might go up to PD4s. Oh, yes, they have Public Defender 2s, Public Defender 3s, Public or Deputy Public Defender 4s.
And 5 is a hand signal, Ms. Pratt, we're receiving.
Yes, it's not in their testimony, but I believe that is correct, and I can check too for more detailed information.
Senator Petty?
So I'm wondering, as we were talking about a 1.3 maximum, I'm wondering if, and I know that the chair is concerned about that starting pay, and I'm wondering if we could have the language with the goal of reaching of a starting salary of 80,000.
I appreciate that. That would work. Senator Klemp?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the comment from Senator Petty. I think that's a good option. And if staff can help me remember from the conversation with, it felt like we didn't have the compression above level 2 with level 3s and 4s. So I'm not sure if I'm right in that statement. However, so I think this is really just a conversation around the first 2 levels.
Ms. Pratt?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, that is my understanding too. In clarifying conversations with the agency, they have tended to focus on the Public Defender 1s and 2s.
All right, so I'm going to change a little bit. The recommendation would be to increase the salary of PD1s, what we're calling Public Defender 1, with the goal being 80,000, but the maximum appropriation amount would be 1.3 million. We would also adjust as the agency sees best, the public defender 2 position salaries to avoid compression. And we'll let staff make certain that it really sounds appropriate, and the committee sounds like we know what we're doing. Additional thoughts, comments? Without objection, that will be the committee part of the committee recommendation for fiscal year 27. And I realize we're going to jump between 26 and 27 all afternoon. But is there objection? Seeing none, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Committee, I asked for, because I had not previously received the governor's recommendation, because of this agency being complex with the short-term executive director and then a new executive director who's, I believe, going to make great strides in getting the agency in a position that it's better than it is today. But in any event, on the IT security issue, which has to do with, I'm going to say rather than IT security, with the cell phones. If you remember, there was discussion about cell phones, and there was an ask in 2026 for $17,974 for a cell phone agreement with Verizon, because most likely the state will provide the cell phones or Verizon will provide the cell phones. So I'm going to throw out for discussion a recommendation of $17,974. This would be an add for fiscal year 2026, and it would be in the category of cell phones, but again, our staff will make it fit in the right category. Questions, comments on that recommendation, committee? Senator Petty.
So this would just be for a contract. This would not actually be for cell phones. Are we looking, I'm just anticipating here, are looking for some additional in 2027 for the purchase of cell phones, like in the figure of 75,000?
We'll be looking for additional funds in 2027, but I wanted to separate these two issues out. Ms. Pratt, is the chair speaking correctly when he says that there's a good chance that the state and or Verizon would actually provide the cell phones at no cost?
Mr. Chairman, that is my understanding, yes. The 17,974 would be either exclusively or primarily for the service fees. And my understanding is that is a partial year, probably May and June.
Okay. And the reason the chair brings this is because I definitely don't want our bids using their own personal cell phones having a separate cell phone. So does that answer your question, Senator Petty? Okay. Additional questions, comments on the suggestion, recommendation? Seeing none, without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation for fiscal year 2026, $17,974 for cell phone contract. There's no objection, so that's part of the committee recommendation. And then I'm going to jump on that topic to fiscal year 2027, and the recommendation I had heard was much more than the 75,000. So Ms. Pratt, help me out. I have written down in my notes 107,844. Is that the amount that would be needed for a full year for the service?
Mr. Chairman, that is my understanding. The 107,844 would be needed for the service for all of fiscal year 2027.
Okay, that would be the recommendation for fiscal year 2027. This again is an add. Questions, comments on the recommendation? Seeing none, without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. There's no recommendation, or no objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Let's see, I had, for reappropriation, Ms. Pratt, I have that there were several different reappropriation requests, but it looks like to me, when you take out the 1.5% lapse, which is 19,324, the reappropriation amount that I'm going to recommend would be 45,353. and I'm working off this one sheet. I cannot, committee, tell you where exactly I got that number, but I'm going to ask Ms. Pratt if that sounds close to right. If not, we can adjust the number slightly. That would be for, of course, fiscal year 2026, reappropriation of money from 2025. Ms. Pratt? What I wrote down was 45,393.
Mr. Chairman, for the reappropriations, my understanding is that $55,257 in unspent capital defense funds were reappropriated, less 1.5% to incorporate the lapse of 1.5% of expenditures or reappropriations. And then $10,446 in unspent operations funds, less the 1.5% lapse. And that would total, I believe, $64,717 with the 1.5% lapse.
With it in, rather than removed, okay. I'm looking to remove the 1.5.
So they would, their whole amount?
I'm not certain, Ms. Pratt, what you're asking.
So,
Yeah, I think I had taken the 55,257, the capital defense funds, and lowered it by the 1 point. Yes. Yes, and what I was looking at is the 324 on page 152. And if that's not the right amount, that's fine. We can get the correct amount. My intent, by the way, was not to reappropriate it for capital defense, but to reappropriate it so it actually would be an increase for payment and assigned counsel. They had $10,000 in operations funds that was utilized on payment for assigned counsel. So my desire was to repurpose the reappropriation of $55,000 for capital defense, but allow the agency to use it for assigned counsel because that is where it's costing a lot of money, but maintain the 1.5% lapse. So that's where my numbers are coming in. Now, hopefully that you can follow that, but that's where I came up with the amount that I came up with.
Mr. Chairman, for clarification, your intent is to reappropriate the capital defense, or allow the agency access to the capital defense reappropriations less 1.5%, but not the operations reappropriations.
Correct. And so they would not, it would be repurposed from capital defense to assigned counsel.
Okay.
And if you can get at the committee a dollar amount, I thought I had the dollar amount, but it was just my figures on a piece of paper. I had 45,393, so we can go with the 46,3. Senator Petty? You're fine.
The 46,379 is, I came about that by taking the 55,257.
That figure works for the chair. Did you follow Ms. Pratt, what she had said? She said she added the 55,000, the 10,000 together,
Yes.
then subtracted out the 19,324.
Mr. Chairman, the 19,324, that incorporates the lapse of the $1.2 million for assigned counsel. a 1.5% lapse of the $55,257 in unspent capital defense funds would total, I believe, $54,428.
Those figures are close enough for the chair to go with rather than us try to calculate. I don't know if we've got a banker on the committee that understands numbers. No, I'm kidding. So that's fine to go with that amount.
Okay.
And again, the amount is,
Mr. Chairman, as of now, the amount would be about $54,428. And that is 1.5% of the, or 98.5% of the $55,257 in reappropriations.
okay, so we will go with the 54,428 reappropriation, but the funds, rather than being part of capital defense, are for assigned counsel. Questions on the recommendation committee? I'm sorry I didn't have the right dollar amount, but we've eventually got to the correct dollar amount. Seeing none without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Is there objection? Seeing no objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. And as it relates to the expert eyewitness or the expert witness caseloads, that is, and I'm looking at fiscal year 2027 committee. That's something that the agency had indicated that they need a significant amount. And Ms. Pratt, do you have the page number where we can find that? I thought I had it in front of me. If you will note, committee, that the request was 3.3 million on page 156. The chair cannot agree to that amount. I'm not saying they don't need it, but trying to keep the numbers reasonable. So the chair is going to make a recommendation, and again, it's going to be up to the committee. But for an even, the governor's rec is $2 million, by the way, committee. And so I don't know what the House does. It doesn't really matter, but I would ask for the Senate position to be 1 million. So that's about 1/3 of what they had requested. So that will be the recommendation, that for fiscal year 2027, we add $1 million for the expert witness caseloads. Is there questions or comments on the recommendation? Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The expert witness, or the expert for not assigned counsel, not 1 million here, expert witness caseload. It's my understanding if you go to court, you got to get these expert witnesses, and they come in, they testify. If you don't do the guy justice, then he can decide to go back to court, and we end up spending more money in the long run, possibly. I'm trying to explain. You pull in this expert witness, and if you don't have a good one and you're doing the right thing for the guy that we're trying to defend, and then he gets a judgment, then he goes back to court, and as he goes back to court, they can throw that out and start him over, and it costs us more money in the long run because we didn't do it right to start with. So I don't know the magic number. The governor had $1 million on that, and they was asking for 3, and maybe we compromise with 2. For 2 million, okay.
In fiscal year, I'm not even looking at anything in fiscal year 26.
Okay.
So I was looking at fiscal year 27.
7.
And
I got
that's
you.
where the governor had put in 2. And so that's the reason I went halfsies with the governor's
I was looking at this
recommendation.
number over here.
And I understand what you're saying. You're thinking like an attorney. It's, at least it sounds like it.
Well, it's,
Oh, I didn't intend to
I
insult
think
you.
we're doing the right thing to start with. The question is what ends up in the long run.
I understand, so that's the reason, it's just recommendation thrown out for discussion. If the committee overrides the chair will try to defend the committee's position. But we're at $1 million right now for expert witness for 2027. Senator Petty.
Well, Mr. Chair, I certainly appreciate your bringing this up. I do think it's definitely an area that we need to look into the need for the funding, because as we heard in the presentation, the number of capital cases that they've had and the increase of other high profile cases always makes that even more important. I know that when the agency requested that 3.3, one of the areas that they broke out was using it under the, which, I mean, I don't know that we have to do that, but they did have the figure of 1.3 under the assigned counsel program of using expert witnesses. I noticed that capital defense cases, it's 1.5, even higher, because of the importance of having those those professionals in those cases available. I would hope maybe we could go to 1.3 in this, under the expert witness enhancement.
So the 1.3, Senator Petty, where could you point the committee?
I'm sorry, I'm looking on page 156 in materials that provided.
156.
Under the Board of Indigent Defense Services fiscal year 2027.
Okay, that's down at the bottom, not in the graph. Okay, thank you. The chair's struggling with spending money as it is, so I'm going to stay at the 1. If the committee moves it to 1.3, that will be the choice of the committee. Additional questions, comments on the recommendation? Okay, without objection, the recommendation will be to add $1 million for expert witnesses in fiscal year 2027. Is there objection? Seeing none, that will be the committee recommendation. That is all of the spending the chair could handle. It's quite a bit additional. Senator Clem?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had I don't know if we've talked about Office 365 in the conversation. And if we haven't, I would like to recommend that we allow the department to become efficient and let them implement Office 365, because there are a lot of optimization tools that come with that software that can allow them to be more efficient. So, and that would be an increase of, for 2026, of 106,000. Make sure I have my years correct. I think that's 106,000 for 2026.
Senator Clamp, I have 106,976. Is that?
That is correct, sir. Yes, sir. We're on the same page.
Go on the exact dollar and recommendations. I'm sorry, Senator Clamp. So this is for fiscal year 2026?
Yes, sir.
Alone?
Yes. And I think once that's implemented, there's, it's actually would be a yearly amount. We should probably have staff verify that. And if that's the case, they should have that software solution. That would be my recommendation, sir.
So were you asking a question of staff as to if it should be ongoing 106?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Pratt?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, my understanding is that that would be an ongoing cost, according to the agency.
So the recommendation is to add in fiscal year, are you wanting to add fiscal year 26 and 27, Senator Clamp, in your recommendation?
Yes, sir.
We can do them separately or we can do them together.
I would want both of them,
Okay.
and then ongoing.
Okay, so the recommendation is to add 106,976 in fiscal year 26, the same amount for fiscal year 27 for the Office 365. which is IT Security Enhancement Request number 4 in your presentation. Questions, comments on the recommendation? Seeing none, without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Is there objection? Seeing none, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Committee, are we finished spending money? Apparently not. Senator Petty.
Well, I think this goes along with the Office 365 in that the server replacement seems to be, it's in figures, it's a smaller item, but absolutely, I think, necessary for them to make the best use of their equipment and their IT security. So it would be 15,000 in both 26 and 27 for the server replacements.
Are you making that as a recommendation, or?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
The recommendation is on enhancement number 4, committee on the presentation, you will see server replacements. There's requests for 15,000 in 26 and 27. I'm guessing, Senator, you're both fiscal years, is that correct?
Correct.
Questions, comments on the recommendation? Senator Klemp?
So forgive me, I do see the replacements for both years. Actually, I don't have a question. I would agree with the replacement of servers.
Okay. So that was a comment. All right. Additional comments, questions? Seeing none, without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Is there objection? Seeing none, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Additional recommendations, committee, or are we finished with the Board of Indigent Defense Services budget? Seeing none, we've got several recommendations, added a lot of money. Did you keep a running total of the dollar amount, Ms. Pratt? If you would, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, on the item of the public defenders 1 and 2 salaries, I have a note to increase the salaries with the goal of public defender 1's being at $80,000, not to exceed $1.3 million total to be added to the budget, and to adjust the salaries of public defender 2's to avoid compression if the agency is able, by not going over the $1.3 million. For IT security, the committee would add $17,974 in fiscal year 2026 for cell phones, and $107,844 for fiscal year 2027 for cell phones. Also, in fiscal year 2026 is an addition of $54,428 for the capital defense reappropriations to be spent on assigned counsel. Also included for fiscal year 2027 is $1 million for expert witness caseloads. And in fiscal year 2026, there is an addition of $106,976 for Office 365 in fiscal year 2026, and the same amount in fiscal year 2027. This would be, the agency states also that this is not an ongoing request after fiscal year 2027, to clarify that conversation a bit ago.
And that would be beneficial for the chair to know when he makes the report to the Ways and Means. All right, thank you.
Yes, I will include a note in that. And the last item is to increase the budget in fiscal year 2026 and 2027 by $15,000 in each year for server replacements.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pratt. Appreciate that. I was just doing some quick back of the napkin adding, and it looks like we are right at an add for the 2 fiscal years of $2.7 million. And I'm sure that if that's not correct, I will be corrected, but looks like about the amount. So without objection, that will be the committee's recommendation to the Ways and Means Committee. Is there objection? Senator Petty?
No objection. I just wanted to, I'm sure we all got this from the Bar Association. It's just another piece of information about what a critical position we're in the state when it comes to legal representation in our rural areas. So I just thought this is probably a good information for when we're talking about this budget as well.
All right, thank you. So there's no objection, so that would be the committee recommendation. Again, in full disclosure, the chair will just mention his personal thoughts that this is an agency he wishes did not exist because he wishes we did not have criminals who could not pay for their own legal defense, but they do have a constitutional right. And I won't make it all negative, but I just have always felt like BIDS is one of those agencies that is frustrating that taxpayers are paying for lawyers for criminals, but it's our responsibility. It's just not one of those I enjoy. So I have nothing additional. I see nothing additional from committee members. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you for being here.